Hi everyone, this video will walk you through the weekly homework submissions that we will be doing throughout the semester. Because we will not be meeting in an actual classroom and I don't have the opportunity to sit down with you all regularly to understand how you are approaching and applying the various course concepts, the weekly homework is your opportunity to walk me through that. So every week, unless otherwise noted on the course calendar, and there are a couple weeks in which there are changes to the lecture requirements, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. You will need to watch all required core lectures as well as one mini lecture of your choice. So what's the difference between core lectures and mini lectures? Well, core lectures speak to course content that is directly tied to course outcomes and goals, whereas the mini lectures reflect topics that students will come into English 2010 demonstrating different levels of mastery of. So for example, the way that we approach rhetoric in this class, the ways in which we address research, those are going to be more topics for core lectures because they speak directly to what we need to get at in English 2010. Whereas with mini lectures, some students are more comfortable composing paragraphs, whereas others would like a little bit more work at it. Some feel really confident creating an original title, whereas others might not have just received that explicit instruction in the past. So mini lectures are your ways of saying, okay, there are other things of writing aside from what we're looking at in the core lectures that I want to improve on or that I think will make me a more effective writer. So this is your way through the mini lectures of sort of designing your own curriculum that in a way that will help you become a better writer based off of what you're comfortable with and what you'd like to learn more about. So by 11:59 p.m. on the following Sunday, you will need to submit the lecture summaries and any assignments I ask you to complete during those lectures. So as you go through and watch the lectures, I'll let you know right out from the beginning what we're going to be doing, what assignment, if any, is due, and what you'll need to complete that assignment. So for example, all lecture summaries and assignments for the week of Monday, August 19th, so week 1, will be due by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, August 25th, and we will follow that structure throughout the semester. One thing I want to note is that you can only receive credit for each mini lecture once, so please don't watch the same mini lecture for weeks 1 through 16 and expect to receive credit on it. There are far more mini lectures available to you than there are weeks, so you can certainly go through, mix and match, perhaps see what mini lectures are available and start planning when you'd like to watch certain videos. Like I said, keep an eye out on the course calendar. Not every week requires you to watch lectures, but it is your responsibility to check the course calendar to ensure you're submitting all required materials. So lecture summaries and assignments are required for all core and mini lectures. So you could see this as a substitute for attendance. Again, we're not meeting face to face, but this is my opportunity for for me to say, okay, this is how you are approaching this content. This is how you're coming to understand this topic, which is going to reflect perhaps how I provide feedback to you, or how I engage in discussion about how you're understanding the course content. So keep in mind that these are helpful not just for you, but for me as well. And that missing or submitting incomplete summaries and or assignments could have a significant impact on your grade. In the past, I have seen some students who just won't submit the lecture assignments, who don't submit the summaries, and it has taken quite the toll on their grade. So just keep that in mind, that these can have significant impacts if you regularly miss these assignments and these summaries. So each lecture summary should meet the following requirements. So it should be about 75 words. You should identify 1 to 2 key ideas you took away from the lecture and how you believe they will help your composition process. Now, this is optional. You can also include questions from the lecture that you'd like me to answer. You can include that at the bottom. A lot of students will typically just say, okay, here's my question. Sometimes they'll format it differently, like they'll italicize it so it draws my eye to that part of the text. Sometimes they'll highlight it. Really, there's no requirements there since it is optional for you to ask a question in general. Sometimes, for example, because, think of the rhetoric core lecture we'll be watching during week 1. I've had some students who've taken that opportunity to say, okay, well, you brought this point up about pathos, but could we also think about it in this way? Or I don't really think I fully understood what you meant when you discussed ethos. Could you explain this in greater detail? So essentially what I will do is I will use the comment feature on Canvas and I will respond to your questions. And so that way, if you do have any questions and you'd like a more detailed response from me, this is a good opportunity for that. Now, lecture assignments will vary. So, for example, in one lecture, I may ask you to screenshot search results. In another, I may ask you to free write your thoughts on a topic. Other times, I ask you to draw. Other times, I will ask you to watch a video and respond to something. So really, it can be all over, the map in terms of what we're going to be doing to apply certain concepts. But regardless of what I ask you to do, I design these assignments in mind so that way you can submit everything on Canvas. I'm not going to say, go talk to this one person, but obviously you can't submit that on Canvas with those kind of instructions. So that would not be a type of lecture assignment I do. Everything I'm going to ask you to do will allow you to save your content digitally and submit it on Canvas. So, one thing that I want to note with the lecture summaries and assignments, yes, they are my way for kind of seeing where everyone's at, and your way for kind of reinforcing the information to you. And I feel like you can best do that, and I best understand where you're coming from regarding the course content if you use your own language, if you use your own voice. Throughout the semester, we're going to be talking about voice and about tone and how to craft your message for specific audiences. But I would rather you use language and summarize the content and perform the assignments in a way that's going to make sense to you. So perhaps if using slang is helpful for you, go for it. If referencing certain examples is going to reinforce a concept and help you recall it easier as you're composing, certainly go for it. And so how I like to explain this then is think of this less as you proving to me that you paid attention, and use language that you would use if a friend missed class. So if your roommate was super sick and couldn't make it to a lecture one day, how would you describe what we talked about in that lecture to them? And that can be the language you use in your summaries and your assignments. So keep in mind that these will be due Sunday evenings by 11:59 p.m. on Canvas to the appropriate assignment submission folder. And you can find those, of course, on the assignments tab, but you can also find them in the appropriate weekly module as well. So there are a few places that you can locate that assignment submission folder. So please make sure that all summaries and all assignments are on one document. Even if that means that, your document is 4 or 5 pages long, that's totally fine. What that does is that ensures that I see everything and that you receive credit for everything that you've done. Because if you submit a number of different documents, that increases the likelihood that things are going to get lost, not submit properly. But if you just include it perhaps in one larger file, then that will prevent things from getting lost and again help ensure that you receive credit for all the work that you've done. Also, keep in mind that this should be submitted as a .doc or a .docs file. Please do not submit anything through Pages. Pages is very problematic with Canvas and with my own personal devices. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. So just make sure that it is in this proper file format here. Also, please double check your submissions to make sure that the assignment has uploaded successfully and that it is in the correct file format. I grade what you submit. If I can't open it, then you put yourself in a position where you could lose points. So do keep that in mind. Grading criteria. So like the weekly discussions, all homework materials will be graded holistically based on your ability to meet the noted requirements. So do keep that in mind. Now, if you have any questions about the weekly homework, if there are any concepts that I can speak to in greater detail, or if you'd just like to chat about it, please feel free to message me on Canvas. All right, everyone, until next time.